I'm back again, y'all. We back with another Instagram Live, another interview. Today, you guys are in for a treat. I know I'm ready. It should be really exciting. Really. So let me see. Hey guys, following. We're about to start this live. Today, I'm excited for this interview. I'm very excited. Maybe because the little kid inside of me who loves to eat. But it's like he's jumping around for joy. But I don't know. Me personally, I'm excited. Let me see. Let me. How's everyone doing today? How's everyone doing today, guys? What's up, Kay, Jamal, Demarie, and then a little coaching, Derek. How you guys going today? How's today going? 1 to 10. Let me get some rating. 1 to 10. How's everyone's day going? Personally, my day is a smooth 7. 7. Send this to. Dun, dun, dun. 7. Okay, 7. I need some more ratings. Oh. Hmm. Let me see. I need some more ratings. Can I get some more ratings? 1 to 10. How's everyone's day going? How's everyone's day? Nine. It's a 9. Okay. All right, Demarie. With the big 9. Huh. Haven't had a 9 day in a couple of days. Out here loving life today. Let's see. See if I can. Also, I'm going to put up a question. Let's see if I can put up a questionnaire, or if you guys have any questions while I'm doing this interview, just feel free to ask them. Try to find it again. Here we go. Up in here. Let me fight. Should be coming through. Is it not coming through? It's not letting me accept. Bear with us, y'all. It's a little technical difficulties. Oh, here we go. That clicked that time. It keeps saying he's unable to join. Let's see. Well, that's odd. There we go.
Boom.
Boom. There we go.
We got action.
Got some action. How you doing today?
I'm good, my guy. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm asking everyone to rate their days from 1 to 10. So you had to rate your day from 1 to 10. What
You
is
said right there. What from 1 to 10?
rate their days from 1 to 10, like their day today?
Hmm. I'm gonna give it a solid 7.
7. Okay, that's what I rated mine today. Yeah. All right. So today, guys, welcome to IG Live, Live to Inspire. I'm Terrell Leonard, social media and community coordinator, a part of WeINSPIRE movement internship program. And I'm also a student at Coastal Carolina, and that's located in Conway, South Carolina. This evening, I'm happy to have with us Chef D.Arthur, who has also been seen on Chopped, on Food Network. And today, Chef D.Arthur will be creating a mouth-watering brunch dish from his new cookbook. Great. His new cookbook. Great right before the Thanksgiving festivities. Welcome today, Chef. Can we get some claps in the audience? Something. Can we get some claps? So, Chef,
What's going
now
on, my guy? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So, I didn't want to give out the title yet, but what is the title? I want you to talk a little bit. What is the title of your cookbook, and can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the title of my cookbook is the Delicious Things Visual Cookbook. It is a cookbook where each recipe comes with a recipe video. You know how Beyonce has every song on her album comes with a music video? Well, every recipe in this cookbook comes with a recipe video. I'm releasing it one chapter at a time over the next year. So one chapter is already out, chapter 1, Brunch Goals. It came out a few weeks ago. And at the top of next year, January, we'll be releasing the second chapter, which will be a meal prep centered chapter. And we'll just go forward with that over the course of the next year until we get to the final chapter, which will have a printed cookbook that people can purchase as well.
Okay, cool. I also, like, when I was doing my research on you, I went on your website and I saw there was a visual cookbook, and I was like, a visual cookbook? I was like, has that ever? I've personally never seen it, but is that an idea you just decided just to come up with, or how did that come up being a visual cookbook?
So originally, I had been working on these recipe videos for over a year, and I was going to release them like almost like a subscription-based service, kind of like OnlyFans, but with like recipes and not anything smutty. But I started polling different friends, different chefs, different people who I know support me, asking them how they felt about the idea. And a lot of people were saying, I wouldn't really pay for a subscription service, but I would pay for a virtual cookbook, or I would pay for this. And so at that point, I already had a healthy amount of videos accumulated. So that idea just took a pivot, and then it just blossomed and grew and grew and grew and grew from there. And the more I leaned into it, the better it became.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great. So they don't know that what we're doing today. Well, I kind of already said it, but what are you cooking for us from your brunch cookbook? What are we making today?
All right, so today we are making a lump crab loaded waffle. It's one of the main attractions from the first chapter of the cookbook. It's the most popular ordered dish from the Friendsgiving tour that I'm on right now. I just stopped in Atlanta. The overwhelming majority of the guests ordered that dish. We're already piping up and gearing up for DC. The overwhelming majority of the guests in DC have already ordered that. So that's the superstar of the Friendsgiving brunch so far.
Okay, great. So, what's a little bit more about your background cooking wise? Like, how was your come up story becoming a chef?
Honestly, I always wanted to be a chef. Growing up back in the day, I used to sit under my mom watching her cook in the kitchen. I was not that little kid that liked to play outside. I was always like in grown folks' business. So I was always in the kitchen watching my mom do her magic, watching my aunties do their magic, watching my uncles kill it on the grill, watching my dad kill it on the grill, watching my godparents. Food was just in my family, and I was that kid that was always under the grown folk watching what they did. So I just picked it up honestly, and from there, the passion just grew and grew and grew and grew. I tried to go to culinary school right after college. That didn't really work out. So I ultimately ended up starting my catering company on Faith 10 years ago on Friday. And my catering company took off, and I've been doing, catering, personal chef work, blogging, recipe development, all of that now for about 10 years.
Okay, great. So that sounds amazing. I'm gonna ask some more questions, but before we guys get into the question, let's just hop into some of the ingredients and the cooking.
Let's get into it, all right? So first we have some pre-made waffle mix. You don't have to sift flour and all that kind of stuff if you don't want to. If you do want the detailed recipe, I have all of that inside of the Delicious Things cookbook. Or today we have add water only waffle mix. We have lump crab mixture here. You can buy it already in a container with the crab meat already pulled out. So you don't have to deal with all the crab shells and all of that. You can find this in the seafood section of most of your groceries. I have a red bell pepper, a yellow onion, a couple of stalks of celery, syrup, olive oil, Cajun seasoning, garlic powder, cooking spray, and a lime. So I'm going to start off by chopping up some of my peppers and onions here.
Wow. You touched on how you went to culinary school and it didn't really work out. So what was the hardest thing or something that you didn't expect while becoming a professional chef?
The biggest thing that I had to kind of overcome was my self-doubt. I am mostly a self-taught chef. And so, like I said, I went to culinary school, but I didn't complete it. I didn't even make it inside of the kitchen for the most part. We were inside of the classroom every day in full chef attire. That only lasted 1/4. So as my career continued to elevate, I was concerned that, I don't know all of the stuff that regular chefs know. I don't know how to do all of this. I don't know how to do all of that. Am I a fraud? But the more I leaned into the stuff that I actually did know and performed well at that, the more my star continued to rise. And so at some point, my goal was to lean into what I knew how to do already hard as opposed to focusing on what I didn't know.
Okay, yeah, because a couple of days ago, I watched your top episode that you were on, and I saw that you touched on a little bit that you wanted to go on the show to cure your self doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that you touched on it that you can have a talent or something that you really want to do, but when you're self taught and you don't really have the schooling background, you get kind of lost and like, am I really worth or like am I really as good as everyone else that is in the same space as me? Which you are though. If you have a passion for anything, that you work harder than most because this is really what you want to do. It's not something that just falls into your lap. So I'm happy that you touched on that. Like, can you touch on like can you touch on the workload of a chef?
Oh my God. So I was telling a friend last night, like yesterday was my turn my phone off day. I had a lot of stuff to do. I did all of the work that I had to do for that day, and then my phone was off for the rest of the day. The workload is really, 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 really intense. I tell people who all the time, people be like, oh, I want to be a celebrity chef. I want to be a celebrity chef. That's cool. That's great. It's a good time. It's an amazing job. But you have to be in it for that workload. It's intense. It's pretty hard on the body. The schedules, nonstop. Traditionally, when everybody else is having fun, that's when we work. Holidays, that's when when people are gathering with their families, that's when we work. On weekends, when people are like kicking it with their friends, that's when weddings are, that's when baby showers are, that's when bridal showers are, that's when we work. And so, it's a very, very rewarding career, but as far as schedule-wise, as far as, physicality, what it does to the body and how you really, really have to be healthy to kind of do this for a long period of time, it's really, really hard work. And I tell people who, kind of want to get into it for the hype, make sure you're getting into it for the right reason because it's pretty intense.
Wow, that's noted. So, is there a difference, or can you describe the difference between a celebrity chef, a restaurant chef, or a private traveling chef? Like, what do those different worlds look like?
Well, celebrity chef, I guess it depends on who you ask. To me, when I first started, I would avoid that title altogether. And I would only allow other people to call me that, but I wouldn't really refer to myself as that. But then the more I grew into this career and then the more kind of NBA clients I picked up, it became kind of inevitable that people started calling me that all the time. So I lean into it when it's a platform like this where I'm talking about being a chef. I lean into it when it's a platform where I'm talking to youth, for example. But if you just see me out and about, I might just say that I'm a chef just because I don't ever want to get too into the glitz and glamour of it because I know that it's really, 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 really hard work. And I want people to see, okay, yeah, this is cool. This is a vibe. I cook for this NBA player, but also I did 150 people dinner for this couple too, and that was just as important.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to really, really focus on the work more than the celebrity aspect. So it truly depends on the chef that you're talking to. Some chef might have cooked for a famous person one time, and then they consider themselves a celebrity chef. Other people might say that you're not a celebrity chef until you yourself and your work are known, and then that's what makes you a celebrity chef. And so I try not to get too into that hype. For me, I always wanted to be a chef in general, and I'm happy with where it has taken me, and I love that people regard me as that, and I allow people to continue to regard me as that, but I just try to focus on the work myself.
That I love that. I love that. Don't get too caught up with glamour. Just keep your head down, keep going to work, and let your work speak for itself. I love that.
Yes, sir. So real quick, while we're talking, I'm getting a skillet here on medium-high heat, and I'm adding a little bit of olive oil, and I'm gonna saute up. I chopped up a little bit of onion, a little bit of celery, and a little bit of red bell pepper here. I'm gonna saute those up, and then I'm gonna add my crab meat to it.
Mm.
Just want to explain what I was doing, just in case anybody was just kind of like, I want to make that.
No, I got you. I got you. I saw you were ready. I saw the stop cutting. Okay, I see. I see. So, as you're becoming this chef and you're working hard, how's that feeling when, or when was it when you got that first call from a high profile client?
Um, the biggest high profile client that kind of altered the trajectory of my career and my life was when I got the call to work for Thaddeus Young. He's from Memphis, a basketball player, NBA player from Memphis, but at that time he was playing with the Brooklyn Nets. I got an email from his wife saying that she needed a chef for the summer for her husband, kids, and nanny. And then I was looking at the email, just kind of like, yo, a nanny? Who is this? Who has a nanny? And she didn't say who they were or anything like that. And at that point in my career, I had just quit my full-time job, and I was just chefing full-time on faith. I was broke, but the grind was real. But I got used to people telling me no. I got used to that my prices were too high. And so I'm expecting her to hit me with the like, oh, your price is too high. She was like, okay, I can pay all of it right now for 2 months. And I'm just kind of like, who is this? All right. So she paid me in full that night. I have her name, but I don't know who she is yet. And that night, I'm telling my friends who had gotten used to me talking about, y'all, I'm broke. I don't know if it was a good idea to quit my job on faith. And so I finally got this client that paid me up for a couple of months. So I go home, I tell my friends, like, yo, I finally got a client that paid me up for a couple of months. And I told my friend her name, and my friend was like, you know that's Thaddeus Young's wife, right? I was like, who is Thaddeus Young? He was like, oh, he plays for the Brooklyn Nets. I'm just kind of like, oh, snap. Had no idea who they were. And so I ended up being their chef for the summer in Memphis during the off season. And then as the season approached, as it became time for them to get ready to go back to New York, they were looking for some chefs up in the New York area, and I was like, yo, I'll go to New York with y'all. And so that began my journey to New York and the kind of beginning of that celebrity chef world.
Um, love that first call, that big breakthrough of like real passion. That's amazing. Um, so like after you got the call and they tell you was there any sense of nervousness?
Initially, yeah, I think I actually, I've never told anybody this before, but I actually think I cut myself on the first day on that job.
What?
That's how nervous I was. Yeah. She had, Shakana, that's Dad's wife, she had to go find me a Band-Aid and everything.
That's crazy. So after, after you cook for Thaddeus, um, they love you. Travel to New York. What happens after you travel to New York? Do you actually move to New York,
Yeah,
or?
I relocated to New York. I still had my catering company in Memphis, so I was just traveling back and forth. We did that for about a year. And then while we were back in Memphis over that following summer, he got traded to Indiana, so I moved with him to Indiana. He got traded to the Pacers. Yeah. And so I
How
moved to Indiana. We were there for a season. And after that season, I really, really loved working for Shakana's dad, but I just kind of wanted my own schedule back. I miss being able to kind of come and go as I please.
mm-hmm.
And so after that season, I bowed out, and I've been doing my own thing ever since.
Wow.
I went
How,
back to Memphis for a year just to kind of get back on my feet. Like, am I going to go back home? But that like New York energy, that New York love that I kind of fell in
yeah.
love with, it was just kind of pulling at me. And so after about a year back at home in Memphis, I decided to just kind of pull the trigger, move back up in here, move back to New York with no clients, just to kind of see how would
Mm,
that work out. And that was 3 years ago.
wow. And that's so that's great. That's great.
So I'm going to hit this. I added the crab meat. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to hit this with a little bit of Cajun seasoning, a little bit of garlic and herb, and some fresh citrus. I have a lime here. If you have lemon juice at home, that works too. I'm only making maybe one waffle, so I'm not going to go with too much.
Someone in the comments asked, "How long should we have the crab, onions, and on the stove?"
Not long at all. It's going to take about 2 minutes or so for the peppers and onions to kind of get nice and tender. Once we add that crab meat, the crab, the seafood doesn't take long. It's going to take you maybe an additional 3 or 4 minutes once you add that crab meat and that seasoning, and then we're removing it from the heat. Altogether, maybe about 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah. So the how long was the gap between you getting your big breakthrough and you actually beginning your chef journey?
I started, so it'll be Friday, November 19th, 2014.
Wow.
2014, yeah. So it was 2014. No,
Wow.
I'm alive, 2011. So I started, my first event was November 19th, 2011. And I didn't get that NBA gig until 2015.
Oh, okay.
That was 4 years of grinding it out before I got to that big moment. And then
Mm,
even once that big moment happened, I thought to myself, like, okay, God, this is that moment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm only 30. The big moment hit. If you had to ask me before I was, 30, what my end game was for like being a chef, I wanted to be a private chef for a really, really rich person. They could have played any, sport. They could have been a
yeah.
musician. Anybody who has the coin to pay me and I don't have to like work all over the place and I can just work for one family, that was my goal. And I did that for 2 years and realized like, oh crap, I actually want to do a lot more than this. And so what I found was what I thought to be that big moment. It was a big moment that is worthy of being celebrated, but it was also just a stepping stone because I found that while I got that big moment prematurely, I desired so much more for myself, and it kind of opened up my ideas and expanded my view of what could be with my career. So the big
Mm,
moment was a big moment, but it was not the big moment. I actually still don't think the big moment has happened yet for me.
oh, okay. Someone asked another person asked in the comments, "Can you slap your mama seasoning?"
I do, I do. I lived in Baton Rouge for 2 years. You can't live in Louisiana and not be familiar with Slap Your Mama now.
Uh,
But I also live in New York now, and they don't know about all that stuff up here. It's hard to find. So right now, I just got some regular Cajun seasoning from my local bodega. But when I'm
okay.
down south, Slap Your Mama is a go-to.
Yeah, I usually use Old Bay and I use Old Bay and seasoned salt when I do kitchen areas.
Oh,
Um, I also I was doing my research. I saw that you're doing a Friendsgiving tour.
yes, sir.
Can you explain what a Friendsgiving tour is?
Absolutely. So one of the things I was doing back in Memphis back in the day was doing all of these brunches and these brunch day parties, and they were just in Memphis because that's where I was from. That's where a lot of my support was. But at that point, I had lived in New York, I had lived in Indiana, I had traveled to do personal chef work in a lot of other cities, so I kind of started building up a reputation in other places, and so people were just kind of like, "Yo, we want these events in our cities too. I don't know why Memphis is only getting these events. We want them too."
Mm-hmm.
And so in 2018, I started Friendsgiving as a holiday brunch that me and my friends did together. We picked a philanthropy, a portion of the proceeds went to that philanthropy. By that next year, I was living in New York, so I did it. I expanded it and went on tour with it. I did it in New York, I did it in Houston, and I did it in Memphis again. 2020, it took us down, so I didn't do anything. And so this year we picked it back up. Started last weekend in Atlanta. We're going to DC this Saturday. After that, we'll be back in Memphis where it all started. Also having like a 10th anniversary kind of party situation there in Memphis. And then we're ending it where I live now in New York on December 5th. And so 4 cities, brunch thing, you and your friends come out, you and your boo come out, you come out by yourself. It's good energy, it's good food, it's good drinks. And a portion of the proceeds still go to charity. This year, the philanthropy that we're going with is HBCUs Band Together. The theme of the event is a different world, and so I wanted to find a way in using that theme to give back to HBCUs. And I'm a big fan of band culture, and so that was just kind of very easy segue and timing.
Okay, so like, how does that work? So, like, say I'm a customer. Do I go there? It's like a big dining room. Everybody sits down at their table. Then we order something, or is there already a menu?
That's a really good question. So when you go buy your tickets online at www.thefriendsgiving.com, you fill out a registration form, and it allows you to pick your entree and you pick your dessert, and it sends it to me. And so when you show up, you get a ticket with what you ordered on it. And once you sit down, you pick your table at the event. Your server comes up to your table. You give them the ticket of what you ordered, and they bring you your food out. We have a bar over to the side, so the drinks are flowing bottomlessly the entire time. We also have some like small bites for the table in each city, just so you know, stuff like we had macaroni and cheese in Atlanta going around to everybody. We had salads going around to everybody. So you're not just getting what you ordered online, you're also getting a few other things here and there to fluff. Let me get my waffle iron nice and hot.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, so what are we doing now in the kitchen? Where we?
All right, so we cut off our crab mixture here. We added water to our waffle batter, and we're just giving that a nice spin, and we're heating up our waffle iron. And so once our waffle iron is nice and hot, we're gonna go with some non-stick spray, a little bit of crab meat right onto the waffle iron. We're gonna hit some waffle mix on top of that, cook our waffle until it says it's done, and once it comes off, we're gonna put even more crab meat on top of the waffle.
Okay.
Also, if you want to add a little razzle dazzle to your waffle mixture, I recommend adding some cinnamon here, some vanilla here. That sweetness plus the spice is all going to work together in really perfect harmony.
Who does love a sweet and spicy? Who does?
I do.
We have a question from the audience. They want to know, how does it feel that everyone that has worked for you, they have ventured off and they have also become successful in their own ventures?
You know, it's crazy. You don't really realize that until somebody asks you something like that. And like, for example, one of the guys who used to work for me back in the day hit me up. He wants to be a vendor for the Friendsgiving in Memphis, and he owns like, I think it's Blue City Donuts in Memphis. I forget the exact name of it, something like that. And I just remember like that guy with me in the trenches when I first started, before anybody really knew my name, in the kitchen with me at 2 o'clock in the morning, and now he has his own donut shop in Memphis. I'm like, of course we could be a vendor, of course we could be a sponsor. And so it's just a lot of people who kind of, I'm not gonna say started under me, I'm just gonna say our journeys paralleled at some point, and we're all doing really well at this point, and that's just a really beautiful feeling, all of us coming up together. Like, nobody wants to kind of elevate by themselves, so to see so many people whose journeys have overlapped with mine still doing amazing things. Because one of my fears when I first started in the chef game was I kept meeting chefs who used to have their own company but now work for somebody else, or used to do this but don't anymore, or used to but stop. You know, it felt like, oh, there's a shelf life to this career. And like, now I'm starting to have chefs that like, you remember 10 years ago when we or you remember that event we did together 7 years ago, and now we're both, or and so that feeling of elevating with a community of people, or a camaraderie of people, it's a really good feeling.
Okay. Another question also from the audience: what was work like during COVID? Did you take the time off to rest, or you just kept on grinding?
I took time off to rest, and that was not easy for me to do, because again, I would see a lot of my chef peers, they took it to another level in COVID. Some people took it to another level, but I think per where I was in my career, per what my body was like, per what I had going on in my personal life, I think that that was a moment designed for me to sit my ass down. I feel like the universe, God, forced me to sit down. But a lot of beauty came in that forced sit down. Like, it allowed me to kind of redirect my career into a path that I wanted it to. At first, I was just moving so fast. Things were going well, but I was moving too fast to have any real clear vision about it. It was just kind of, you're taking in the customers as they call, you're taking in the clients as they call, you're taking in the events as they come, you're working, you're having a little fun here and there. You haven't really had time to process, budget, manage, take in any of that. And so it felt pretty brutal, I must admit, at first. But towards the end, I mean, we're still in COVID, but towards, that first year, that first 2020, towards as we ventured towards the summer months, it all kind of began to make sense that, okay, this was by design. Like, this was not just, it's unfortunate that it took all of that. But it was by design for me, at least, and I think I got a good break out of it. And that break just is allowing me to kind of function the way I am now. I don't think I would have ever slowed down enough to be like, you know what, you should probably do a visual cookbook.
That's perfect.
I've been doing this for 10 years. It's a Friday. I'm about to be 36. I know that that's still fairly young, but also I registered that this is real hard on the body. And can you sustain at this level for another 10 years? And so what does looking smart, not hard, look like for you right now? It's allowed me to think more about that. All right, my waffle iron is ready. We're going to take advantage. Wow. Gonna spray a little non-stick on the top and the bottom. Hit it with a little crab meat. You hear that sound?
Sizzle.
That little sizzle. And right on top with some of my waffle mix. I think I have like some type of honey cinnamon waffle mix, so it's gonna be really nice.
Honey cinnamon waffle. Oh.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot over here.
Sounds amazing.
All right, now we wait for our waffle line to tell us when it's ready.
That's amazing though. Like how you were saying during COVID, you took a time to sit back and rest. Because I know personally, when I have a YouTube channel and I do social media on my own, and I've always been go 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 go. But recently, not due to COVID, but recently I just had things stop, and it's kind of weird when you've been so accustomed to every day go do this, go do that, to you just sit down, just like wow, like and just recollect on like, oh, this is what I'm doing, like. Well, I'm not doing this. Like, did you ever have that feeling of I have to do something to get this energy out of me because I just feel like doing something?
I did. It was specifically like watching other chefs who I consider to be like my peers take that moment and took that moment to thrive, whereas I had to sit down in that moment. And watching people thrive where I felt like I was forced to sit down was a really challenging internal dynamic that I was kind of exploring. I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I felt like a lot of people launched really successful businesses during COVID. I felt like I wasn't maximizing the moment. I felt like I was not, leaping into, whatever I was supposed to be leaping into. And what I found was that, like, actually, this was your moment to sit down. This was your moment. I had just come off a Friendsgiving 2019 tour. Had never been on a tour before. And while it technically went really, really well, there were just a lot of dynamics at play that I just didn't realize had like a really hard effect on my body. After during COVID, I started therapy. I rested, and all of those things were just very, very necessary in a way that I didn't realize were necessary and probably would have never elected to force myself to do on my own.
Yeah.
And so I had to get over the fact that I was watching other people shine and thrive and create, because what my body needed in that moment was rest, and I had to honor what I needed in that moment.
Okay. Like something great came out. You got a cookbook now, a visual cookbook. Visual cookbook, man.
Yeah, one chapter at a time. I'm gonna take my time with it. I have a new publicist, Derek. Shout out to Derek. He was just kind of like, no, you got to take your time with the content. I'm from Memphis, and so Memphis is training me. People expect a bang for their buck, and so I was loading on a bunch of stuff and not charging it enough. And so now, I'm like, oh no, you got quality stuff going on here. You gotta taste that out. You gotta, let that linger. So rather than giving you 70 recipes all at once, it's 10 at a time, but it's done well, it's done sexy, it's done my way.
Mm.
And I think, it allows me to stretch out the content, maximize on the content or the work, and ultimately put out a product that is just authentically me that I'm really proud of.
Okay, I like that. What would you say is your favorite recipe out of the book? Like, I love this one. This is it right here.
Mm. So I have two answers for that. There's one that I will eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, oh, it's when it comes to food that I like, this is it. And then there's one that I'm proud of as a chef. So the one that I would eat is like the oxtail and grits. Like, I
Ooh,
loved oxtails before I moved to New York, but it wasn't something I was just like well versed on. And then I moved to New York, and it's just kind of like, whoa, there's oxtails everywhere, and
yeah.
I feel in love with them. And so infusing that with like grits, which is a very southern thing where I'm from, and then all the
Mm.
Caribbean energy that I'm loving up here in New York. It was just a perfect marriage on a plate, and I love it. It's a very, very, very heavy brunch dish, so I wouldn't recommend it all the time. But like if you need a solid cheat meal, you've been going hard, you want to treat yourself, it's perfect. Um, and the one I'm proud of as a chef is probably the curry lobster tail and the pan fried grit cake. I'm allergic to shellfish, so anytime I finesse a real sexy seafood dish and I can't even eat it, I'm pretty proud of that.
Oxtails and grits. Say, I'm from South Carolina, and I've probably eaten grits majority of like half of my life or 80% of my life. So when you
Salt and sugar. Let's go.
yeah, you said salt and sugar.
Salt and sugar on your grits. Get it right.
Oh,
Get it right. Get it right.
salt, sugar, salt or sugar. Oh, I'm definitely going salt. I do not like sugar in the grits. I don't know why. Salt salt is king. Yeah, salt is king. I never got into sugar on grits, like sweet grits. What about
I
you?
too prefer, so I can't eat grits by themselves anyway. It has to be like a shrimp and grit or something savory in a grit, like a bowl of grits a la carte ain't ever gonna rock my world. So whether they got salt or sugar in them. Um, but if you give me like some saucy, savory, drippy, juicy meat on top of a grit,
Mm,
I'm in heaven.
I go to it salt, pepper, and some cheese. I like cheddar cheese, but if I don't have cheddar, I go with the American cheese, and that's it.
I challenge you to experiment with the cheeses, my friend. You'll find that that alone taps into another flavor profile and elevates it to another level. Because each cheese has its own kind of vibe. And so if you try, try pepper jack one time. Try, you know, I don't know, however, whatever kind of cheese you have, try different cheeses in your grits and
Mm.
allow it to blow your mind. All right. My waffle is telling me it's time.
Ooh, it sound like it's hitting. Sound like it's good.
I'm not this handsy with the food if you come to the event. I'm just at home.
Great,
All right.
great.
We got our waffle here. And on top of our waffle, we go. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way so y'all can see this beauty that's happening. Okay. Got my waffle there. And on top of my waffle, I go with more crab meat right on top there.
Mm. My-
More lump crab meat right on top. Don't you worry if you can't see. In a minute, I'm going to pick up my phone and give you a close-up.
Okay. Someone said in the comments, liver pudding. Have you had liver pudding before?
Say that one more time.
Someone said in the comments that they put liver pudding on their grits. Have you heard of liver pudding before? Liver pudding?
No. Those two words together don't even sound like a good time. What?
So,
Liver pudding. Who said that? I would like to know more about this.
all right. So liver pudding it's a thing in the South. I know it's in South Carolina, North Carolina. I don't know about Tennessee and Memphis, but it is the liver of a pig, and it's grinded up with like fat also. So when you cook it, it is it melts into like this brown gravy, and then you can pour it on top of rice. And I'm telling you, it is heaven in a bowl. That's what it tastes like. Heaven in a bowl. Liver pudding.
Liver pudding. I'm gonna have to take your word for it, friend.
It sounds nasty. It sounds nasty. Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. Oh my gosh. Brought me with the tears.
Get into it.
Oh my gosh. And you say that you can't eat shellfish.
Well, some shellfish. I can't eat crab.
Okay, great. I'm about to say that it'll be a shame to cook that. You can't even eat it.
Yeah, I can eat crab. I can eat crawfish, but shrimp is iffy. Lobster is an absolute not. Scallops, absolute not. It just depends.
That's amazing. We have some more questions from the audience. Did you ever have a moment where you felt like quitting cooking?
Often, well, not often, but multiple times. Maybe around 2015, before the NBA job came through, I actually went on a job interview at an event rental company. And in my mind, I was like, I rent from this company all the time for catering. So they know that I'm well versed on events. And if I'm going to get any job at this point, I had a 5-year resume of, I had a resume of being a chef at that point. And so I had to find a job that made sense, and I tried to get that job, and the owner of the company looked at my resume and was just kind of like, oh, you own your own business, this is just a backup for you, no, continue to do your own things, you're gonna make it. So like even in the job interview, they were just kind of like, it looks like I looked like a person who really didn't want to be doing anything other than being a chef, but I was trying to have like a backup. And so it just never, even at some point, I had gone so far in my journey that at some point turning around was not an option.
That's crazy. Like even the universe telling you, even if you want to quit, you can't quit. We're in this. We're in this for the long.
It was like I tell people all the time. It's like you're going from shore to shore, and now you're in the middle, and you're just as far. You're just as far from going back as you are for keep going forward. So you might as well keep going forward.
That's crazy. Like how do you, like during this process, or even now, how do you stay focused?
What staying focused looks like is having to evolve as I evolve. Right now, it's just making sure that I'm taking care of myself. So right now, staying focused looks like work-life balance. At one point, staying focused looked like starving all of my distractions and not having too much fun and really putting my head down and working. And right now, what being focused looks like is actually letting a little fun in, letting a little sunlight in, taking a day off to yourself, even when you are super busy, like legitimately taking care of myself is what being focused looked like. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've proven that I can do the work. Have I proven that I can do the work and be able to take care of myself at the same time? And so that focus is like, all right, you've been doing this for 10 years. Congratulations. You've made it far. You haven't quit. However, if you want to continue to be sustainable in this space, what does 10 more years look like? And that looks like you can't do that without being healthy. You can't do that without taking a nap. I just left a massage before I came back here to do this. It was kind of like you just came off of your first tour stop. Your body is tired. Your arms are hurting. Take care of yourself before you go to this next city. And so focus to me right now looks like a balance of working hard, but working smarter than I am working hard, and taking care of myself.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep.
But at one point in my life, it was like, no drinking, no smoking, no dating, no, focus, head down. You can only go out maybe once a month. There have been seasons in my life where what focus looked like was focus. And now focus, as I've evolved, what focus looks like shifts. And so you really just have to learn, what your life, what your body, what your career, what your passion, what your inner voice is telling you, what God is telling you to do at all times, and just honor that.
I love that. Starving distractions. That's amazing. I love that. I gotta quote that. I gotta write that down.
That was a big one. That was a big one for like a year. Like, all right, you got, you're flying all around doing this personal chef thing. You're single, so that comes with, a lot And now you have a little bit of notoriety to your name, and so now you're pushing it to the limit. You know, showing up to events just in time and all that kind of stuff. And so then I had to kind of take a step back and was kind of like, whoa, don't get lost in all of this. You know, discipline still needs to be here, focus still needs to be here, like boundaries around what having fun and working looks like need to exist. So I had to kind of really sit down with myself and be like, all right, these are your guidelines for yourself. And now this season of my career is kind of like, you can loosen some of those guidelines and practice on managing, you know, both your happiness, your joy, being intentional about enjoying what you're doing with your work, and also um, your future events.
Okay. So you said that when you were talking that you've been at this for 10 years now.
Yes, sir.
How do you look at growth, or how do you manage growth, or how do you analyze, like, okay, this, I've grown so far because this has changed or that has changed? How do you measure that?
Um, I try not to measure it. You know, because this is my 10th year, I can't help but to look back and be like, whoa, you have come a really, really long way, my guy. Like, this started off with in your mom and daddy's kitchen. This started off with no team. This started off with you making meatballs and putting them in a plastic cup, and here you are. And so, to some degree, I can't help but to look back and be like, wow, you've really, 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 really come far. But in other regards, I try not to kind of compare parts of my journey to other parts of my journey, and just understand that all of them are necessary parts of my journey. So rather than looking back and being like, you know, oh, you expected to be here by 2012, but you didn't get here to 2015, but at least you got there. No, it's just kind of like, no, that client was necessary. That job was necessary. That year that was really, really hard was necessary. That year where everybody kept telling you your prices were too high, but you had no choice but to keep going anyway, that was a necessary year too. At this point, all of it looks like puzzle pieces coming together in like perfect harmony, and every puzzle piece is just necessary to complete the big picture.
Mm. I love that because I love reading. That's FYI, I love reading. And one of my books I was reading, they were stating how you may be an entrepreneur and your services may be too high for certain people. So, like, what would you tell the other entrepreneurs when they get that feedback that say your prices are too high for your services?
Well, a couple of things. One, only you can determine your value. Now,
Mm.
other people can determine whether or not they agree with your value. People can determine whether or not they can afford your value. People can determine whether or not they're going to choose your value or somebody else's value. But can't nobody determine your value but you. Now, I will say that it is imperative to make sure that you are determining your value from a realistic space. So for me, when I first started, I knew that I just started and I couldn't be charging what everybody else is charged. So I researched catering companies that I admired in the city, and I put my price point right beneath theirs when I
Okay.
first started. Like, I know I can't do what they do, but this is the goal for now. And
Yeah.
so I put my price right beneath theirs. And then the more I got established and I felt like I was getting closer to that level, I put my price point comparable to theirs or parallel to theirs. And then at the point that I felt like, okay, I've exceeded this space, which I didn't even think that wasn't even a goal. I was just trying to get to that level. And at the point that I was like, I feel like I'm above the space, then my prices surpass that space. And now I'm in a space where I'm just kind of like, my price point continues to go higher, but that's because I have had, you know, I've been doing this for 2 years. I have the catalog, I have the portfolio, I have the references, and, you know, I have the backing to show up to a space and being like, this is the price. I don't recommend anybody starting off like that, but if that's how you feel, you know,
Hey.
that's how you feel. But, you know, in knowing your value, you just have to condition your mind to understand that everybody won't and be okay with that. You have to be okay with no's. If you put your price point all the way up here because that's what you value yourself is at, you have to be okay with people saying no until somebody says yes.
Oh,
You have to be uncomfortable. You know, at the point that I decided to charge a little bit higher, it wasn't like everybody instantly started paying that higher rate. There were a lot of no's. There was a lot of, this is out of my price point. This is a lot of, oh, at Ruth's Chris, they only charge this. Well, then that's probably where you should go. You know, it was a lot of that until it got to a point where now, you know, people sometimes tip me more than I used to charge.
oh,
Now,
wow.
yeah,
That's,
now it's to the point where like I'm in a place now where like now my invoice has to be a certain amount of, I guess, high, for lack of a better word, because now they're entertaining me with other chefs of a certain caliber, and all of their invoices are of this caliber. And so if I come in with this low invoice trying to beat
hey,
them out, I don't look like somebody who is cheaper. I look like somebody who is less experienced in certain settings now. And so now it's imperative to look like the value you are. You get what I'm saying? All of that
yeah,
really matters.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm best with that. Yeah, like I like how you handle the criticism of people just trying to tear down your dream or just saying you're not worth your dream, and you just hit them back. Well, that's crazy because this how I feel it, and this what it's gonna be. So either take it or you leave it.
Yeah, and you have to be really comfortable with that. Like, you know, at the point that I started charging a bit more, I got a lot of no's. I was doing a lot of proposals, and people were hitting me up like crazy. And if I was, let's say, if I was doing 10 proposals per week, I might was only booking one of those events per week because people were saying I was too high. So I had an option. Do I go back down to a lower price point that I think, no, that has proven to be less than my value? I can't sustain the quality of work that I do and the quality of life that I deserve at this price point. Sorry for the noise in the background. I live in Bed-Stuy. It be loud. I can't sustain at this level, and so no, I decided to stick to my guns. My price point stays here, and it eventually you start getting more and more clients that like that price point or can meet that price point. And at the point that you kill those events up here at this new price point, the more you start to accumulate more and more clients. And now you're successfully nestled at this new price point. But it didn't happen overnight. You have to take a lot of no's when you are adjusting and, you know, elevating. And
Mm.
now it's to the point where, like, I don't even have to. It used to be a point where I used to have to audition for events or audition amongst other chefs. Now, like, I get the phone call and it was like, "Can you please clear your schedule for us?" It didn't start like that. It
Uh,
started with a lot of no's. So you just really have to kind of be patient. That's why I say that celebrity chef title is real cute in theory, but when you broke, because you told a bunch of people no because you know the value of your work. Well, a bunch of people told you no because you're charging a higher price point because you know the value of your work. It doesn't feel good. It ain't cute and cool at that point. It's not cool until all of those things align, and that takes a lot of time.
I love it, man. Just more of the story. Just keep on pushing through the nose and just
Keep on.
let your work speak for yourself, man. I love it, man.
That's the most important part. Once you get the moment, once you get the opportunity, once you get the platform, once you get the stage to show your value. That's you don't get to fumble those moments. When you get the moment, when you get the platform, once you get the audience, once the microphone is yours, talk your shit. Do your thing. Forgive me if this is out of vanity space, but do your, you know, do what you need to do because you might not always have that moment, that microphone, that platform.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chef D.Arthur. Thank you for inspiring words because a lot of people, including me, that want to be entrepreneurs, need to hear things like that. And because entrepreneurship is hard when you're going through it. When you're trying to start up, it's an uphill battle, and sometimes you can't even see the light. But I'm happy that someone who's actually seen the light and even shine brighter than that light can come tell you it gets greater later. I'm
It gets
happy.
better if you keep at it and you're where you're supposed to be. I can't. That's an important part of that. I feel like I've been blessed in this space because I'm where I'm supposed to be. Uh,
Uh,
Sometimes in entrepreneurship, people are fighting to make something work and it doesn't work out, probably because they are not where they're supposed to be. And that's not me telling anybody to quit. It's just to make sure that you are personally aligned, spiritually aligned, as aligned as you possibly can be, to make sure that you are in the space that you're supposed to be occupying. Because if you are in fact in that space and you are working hard, the universe will open up to you if you're consistent at it. However, if you're not where you're supposed to be, no matter how hard you're working, you might continue to be the dead end because you're not where you're supposed to be. So that is a very, very integral part of that, making sure that this is something that you're supposed to be. This is a fight you're supposed to be fighting. Because if it is a fight that you're supposed to be fighting, then it will be blessed. But if you're fighting the wrong fight and you're looking up trying to figure out why you're so beat up, you know, you might want to kind of question, am I in the right place doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this the work that I'm supposed to be doing? I'm a hard worker. I have the work ethic, all of that, but am I working in the wrong direction or the right direction? You really, really have to make sure that you're locked in with yourself to make sure you're doing that.
That's great. That's great. I think can we see the before I wrap it all up? Can we see this one more time? Just look at the beauty, y'all. Just look at the beauty, man.
Lump crab loaded waffle.
So crab. Can you tell me the ingredients one more time so I can try to recreate this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have lump crab, Cajun seasoning, peppers, onion. So Cajun mirepoix, red bell pepper, celery, onion. We have Cajun seasoning, garlic and herb seasoning. We're gonna hit it with a little syrup on top, waffle batter. It's really, really simple. But if you don't remember it, you can get the recipe step by step in my cookbook at www.chefdarthur.com. That's chef DARTHUR.com, or at www.thefriendsgiving.com.
Okay. Yes, sir. We also are giving them a copy of your book away, and we're giving it away to the first person that was in the live when I first signed on, and the winner is Vicky Val 87. She wins a copy of Chef's visual book.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Congratulations, Vicky. You got the notification. You jump right on. Love it. Is there any last things you want to say, or last impressions you want to leave in the audience?
Thank you for everybody for being here today. Thank you to the WeINSPIRE movement for having me. Thank you for Derek for all of the influence you have with me over here. Everybody who got onto the live, I appreciate you. Make sure that you check me out. Right now, you can support my tour if you will live in DC, Memphis, or New York. We have tour dates and tickets left in all of those cities. You can find out more information about that at www.thefriendsgiving.com. If you're interested in the cookbook with a bunch of amazing brunch dishes, you can find that also at www.thefriendsgiving.com or at www.chefdarthur.com. I'm on Instagram. You can follow me here. I see people following me now. Please don't be a stranger. Thank you guys so much for this day, and that's all I have.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Please feel free to make a donation or partner with us by going to our website, www.weinspiremovement.org. Also, consider giving us a November 30th Giving Tuesday to support our internship and ambassador program. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Nice talking to you. Amazing meal. Beautiful meal. I'm jumping for joy inside. I jump for joy. All right. You have a great night, man.
All righty. Y'all be easy.
Easy also.